Happy Wednesday, everyone. We got a fun little on the minute for you guys today. It's going to be quick, it's going to be fast, and it's going to get your heart rate up just a little bit. So, smaller reps today. We got some fun stuff for you guys. We got on the minute, which is going to be quick. So, I want you to think about taking some time with this, practicing some skills, warming up, adding anything into the warm up that you might need to get yourself prepped and ready. So, our warm up today is going to be a Sumo good morning for 5, Windmill for 3 to 5 aside, Kang Squat for 3 to 5 reps, nice and slow, foot assist pistol for 3 to 5 aside, and a side lunge of 10 alternating back and forth. You'll hit that for 2 rounds, just really warming up the lower half of the body, getting things fired up and ready. And then we're going to work on some squatting skill that we're going to need in the work set. So we have a dumbbell pause front squat for 3 at a 3-second hold in the bottom. Then you're going to do a dumbbell tempo front squat for 2 at a 3-second tempo down and a 3-second tempo up. Then we move into our dumbbell thruster for 1, which is just going to be a normal as speed or as is thruster for you. So you can take it a little smoother on the way down, drive on the way up, or you can go fast up and down. It's up to you. After that, you're going to do a lateral dumbbell jump over for 20 seconds of just getting those feet ready to go, that body, that heart rate up a little bit, and just waking up that lower half of the body and the ankles. If you have a single dumbbell, what I would do is do this whole sequence 1 time through, including the jump overs, and then do it on the other side, and then finish off with the jump overs again, and just have some fun with that. Now it would just be considered 1 round, doing both sides. So take advantage of that. You can use that chance to kind of build that little jump, build your kind of awareness of your proprioception, and just have some fun with some squat skill. All right? From there, we're going to move into our whole practice round. And in the practice round, you don't have to overkill the thruster, but you are going to practice the kettlebell swing just a little bit, just to make sure that you're comfortable and with how you're going to hold the dumbbell or the kettlebell for the swing. The workout today is an on the minute for 10 minutes. So that's 5 rounds of work. Minute number 1, we're going to do 10 thrusters. 10 thrusters, take them down nice and solid, rest. Whatever time you have over to rest, use, breathe, chill. I'm hoping that we have equal work, equal rest in this work minute, so that we have ample time to let our heart rate come down, so that our next minute, number 2, we can knock off those 10 kettlebell or dumbbell swings and just move along that way. So you can use 2 different loadings for this work set if you'd like. You can go a little heavier in the swing, a little lighter on the thruster, and see where it takes you. If also you don't really want to go overhead, what you can work on as well in that thruster is that front squat. Or if you don't want to squat today, you can also add in and do a push press instead of the thruster. So a couple options for you guys today to kind of manage that fatigue from earlier in the week. Let's get you warmed up. Let's get you primed up and ready to go. We'll have some fun today. All right, you guys, let's get our body warmed up a little bit. Let's take the arms up big and tall up overhead. We're going to reach over to one side, just wake things up a bit. Take it to the other side. Go forward fold, touching those toes. We'll walk up those shins, just waking things up. We'll come down and frame a foot. We'll step that foot back into our lizard. We're going to take the inside hand all the way up, and we're going to rotate forearm to the floor. From here, we're going to come back up and rotate forearm to the floor. And one more time, come back up and rotate forearm to the floor. We'll take it all the way to the sky. Plant that hand down, we'll step back into our down dog, setting those shoulders good and strong, activating through that upper back, and just walk the heels out, and just wake up that lower half just a bit. Just wake up the ankles slowly, feeling things out here, just making sure things feel good. We'll come back into our plank, we'll step the other foot up. Inside hand's going to reach way up to the sky. And we're going to rotate forearm to the floor, come back up, and rotate forearm to the floor, back up, and one more time, rotate forearm to the floor, and take it back up. Planting that hand, we're going to step back into that down dog again, setting those shoulders, just really creating that nice strong upper back position. We'll walk the heels out slowly, taking that time just to feel out the feet and the ankles. We'll come back into our plank. We're going to tiptoe those feet up. We'll roll ourselves up, big tall stretch. Big reach. Good, big reach. Oh, come on down with those hands. Let's have some fun today. All right, let's get ourselves slowly warmed up. If there's anything else you want to add into that, pause the video, take that down, maybe a little bit more lizard lunging, a little bit more upper body cat-cowing, whatever you need, take it down now. Come along and join me. We're going to start focusing on that lower half and start warming up them squats. We're going to start off our day with our Sumo Good Morning. So our Sumo Good Morning is going to take ourselves out to that slightly wider stance, but then we're going to work on the hinge. So I want you to think about keeping the big toes down, squeezing those glutes, setting through those hips. You can use a hand reference at the chest and the ribs if you'd like, just to make sure we're not breaking through the midsection. And we're going to pull the hips back. So we're hitting that nice hinge, and then we're going to stand up nice and tall. So again, with this, we're taking our hip crease to our head, creating one solid piece of torso, and then hinging at that piece, maintaining that solid chunk of torso as we experiment and hinge with those hamstrings. So pulling the hip back is what creates that hinge, and that's where we come to feel those hamstrings. We're not trying to put our chest on our thighs, so please keep that in mind. At the very farthest, we're coming to about a 90 degree at that hip crease. Now, from there, we're going to continue to work through that hinge, but we're going to add in some rotation now. So we're going to take the arm overhead into that nice overhead position. We're going to squeeze and set the ribs and hips. We're going to pull the hips back. We're going to rotate at the low rib, and that's going to maintain that nice shoulder position as we rotate. So the key thing here with the shoulder is that we're not rotating at the shoulder girdle, but we're rotating through that low rib position. So the armpit may start facing forward, but then finish facing to the side that we're rotating to. But it's not the shoulder girdle that's doing the moving, it's the torso rotating at the low rib. So super important to keep that in mind. So we initiate with that hip hinge, rotate through the low rib. And just take it to where you feel comfortable. It doesn't have to touch the floor. You can take it to mid-thigh, you can take it to the knees, wherever it happens to be. From there, though, we're going to continue to experiment with that hip hinge. And these first couple reps of this are going to be tough. We're going to work on the Kang Squat. So there's a couple things. If you'd like to throw in a couple air squats before you do the Kang Squat, you can. But the Kang Squat, we're going to bring our feet into our natural squat stance. So just outside the shoulders to the hips, we are going to stand nice and tall. We are going to hinge into that nice good morning. Once we feel that hinge, we are then going to pull the hips down into that nice air squat position. Then we're going to push the hips into that good morning, feeling those hamstrings get tight, and then we'll stand up nice and tall. So it's very kind of segmented. We're not trying to go fast through this movement. We feel the hinge. From there, at the height of that tension, we pull into our squat, and then we push into our hinge, and then we stand nice and tall, opening up the hips and knees, and standing that tall position. So again, this is a great exercise in opening up the ankles through the hips as well. If you have tighter ankles, you will struggle with this one a little bit. You're going to have a hard time getting those hips towards the ankles, and that's okay. It's going to help open up that position. So just take it to where you can, maintain the best position you can, and start opening up those ankles, and I swear they're going to get easier as you go. The second round of Kang Squats might feel a little more free, so embrace it. The first couple reps will be a little tougher because it's still pretty early in our warm-up. Now after the Kang Squat, we're going to work on continuing to attack those ankles, and we're going to work on our single leg pistol. So we're going to get ourselves set up in that nice solid position with the toe in that kickstand position. Glutes are tight, ribs are tight, nice and solid. We're going to get that good squat going. So we're going to take that hip down to the heel, letting that body kind of open up that ankle a bit, and then we're going to stand up nice and tall. So with this, what we want to think of is our normal squat mechanics, pulling the hip to the heel, keeping that chest up tall, that weight through the midfoot, and that good range of motion. Now there's a couple different variations we can do with that. In the beginning, empty-handed, working on getting consistent range and depth. As that's getting easier, you can add a dumbbell into a goblet position, Again, still working to that good solid depth and range. And then, once we start finding that depth and range with the dumbbell and a little bit of load, you can take away that kickstand leg and place it at the back of the heel. It's still going to have a little bit of assistance to keep our hips square, but then we have to require our body to do the balancing act. So we have to kind of add in the difficulty by having to balance. Once that starts to get a little easier, you can add a little bit of load into that as well, keeping the body upright, and build into those different pistol positions. But that's a nice kind of progressional state, kind of making it a little bit easier to that harder position where we're losing that balancing point. So experiment, play with them. Again, it's a nice building block road to that end range, building into a full pistol. So great job, keep working towards that. It's a beautiful little progression series. Last but not least, we have our side lunge. So we're gonna get ourselves into that wide stance position. And I want you guys to really focus on that single leg aspect again, and also working on our squat mechanics. So I'm gonna go profile so you guys can see my hips and where my hips go for this. So I pull my hips back towards my heel. So I'm not pulling them back like a good morning. I'm pulling them towards my heel, keeping that chest upright. So if you didn't have this leg kind of showing you whenever I squat down to this left leg, you'd never know the difference between if I was squatting in a regular position or if I was doing a side lunge. So that's kind of the goal, is if I look profiled, like, whoa, good position, chest is high. Oh, they're doing a side lunge. Beautiful, nice work. All right, so our goal is to try and fight for that tall torso, and again, it's going to be a really good exercise to help open up the hips, ankles, and knees. So take it to the depth and range that you can maintain the torso position, and have fun with that one, you guys. Don't worry about getting super deep right off the hop. Work to your range. As a quick recap, we have a Sumo good morning for 5, Windmill for 3 to 5 aside, Kang Squat for 3 to 5, foot assist pistol 3 to 5 aside, and a side lunge for 10 total count reps, working on that range, and really, again, working on opening up those hips and working that squat mechanic. We have 2 rounds of that, so we'll take it down, pause the video, come along with me. We're going to start playing around with the dumbbell and working on some skills. All right, so our next phase of work is going to work on our thruster, and it's going to work on building our thruster from our front squat to our thruster itself. So what we have, we're going to clean the dumbbell up to the shoulder. All right, so we have our 2 dumbbells, single dumbbell, it's up to you, but we're going to be in this front rack position. So the elbow is kind of up and out. I'm pushing slightly into the dumbbell, and that dumbbell is at a 45 degrees, so it's not straight up and down because that would make it really hard to press. All right, so we want to make sure we have a good pressing position. My feet are in my natural squat stance position, and we're going to follow the same squat mechanics that we always know and love. So my hips are going to come to my heels, my chest is up, I'm pushing into that dumbbell, and I'm maintaining a nice square position through my feet. So now with the front squat, we're going to work a pause. We're going to take it down, we're going to pause in the bottom for 3 seconds. Now the hard part about this is coming up well. We want to make sure that when we stand up, our shoulders and our hips are rising together, and we're not pushing into our hips and they're hinging. So we want to make sure everything rises together. So we got to maintain tension in the bottom of that pause front squat. We're going to hit 3 of those. So we're going to work 3 pause front squats. Once you're done your last pause front squat, we're just going to get rid of the pause and turn it into a tempo. So same squat mechanics. It'll be a 3, 2, 1, and then a 1, 2, 3. So it gives us an opportunity to really work on our squat mechanics down and up, because we need that vertical torso, or as close to vertical as we can, to get into that press overhead with the thruster. So the next movement, no tempo, you're going to squat and you're going to drive out of the bottom into that press, which is our thruster. So we build off of that front squat position again, we pull the hips, we drive and press. So again, with the thruster, it's not so much about the arm doing the work as it is using that squat to get momentum on the dumbbell, and then we finish with the arm as we press it overhead. So it's a really nice opportunity to work on that good range, good positioning, and drive overhead with that good power. After the thruster, we're gonna move into a dumbbell lateral jump over. So you can do a 2-foot hop, you can do a skip, you can do a fast step over, you can also do a high knee circular step over. So working on opening up the hip with that nice opening circle. It's up to you, depending on what you want to focus on. If you want to work on some rebounds, work on some jumping or some skipping. If you want to work on opening up the hip a little bit, work on that nice, slower, circular step. It's a nice option to help open up the hips. Now, if you have a single dumbbell, take that whole thing down on one side, do your jumps, and then repeat on the other side. Go through that sequence of squatting to thruster, do some more jumps or steps. You can even alternate between jumps, steps, skips, whatever you want to do. That's just there to get that body heated up and warmed up a little bit with a little bit of cardio jack up in there. So we have 2 rounds of that as a quick little recap. We have a dumbbell pause front squat for 3 at 3 seconds, dumbbell tempo front squat for 2 at a 3 and 3 second tempo down and up. And then we have a dumbbell thruster for 1, just to get that nice drive out of the bottom at your speed that you work with. Followed up with some lateral jump overs, step overs, or skip overs. So take that down, 2 rounds, practice those movements, get your squat on point for what's to come. We're gonna go through the movements in our work set, and we're gonna set you up with a practice round. We've made it. All right, so our workout is 10 minutes, 5 rounds of work. We have 10 minutes of work in total. Minute number 1, 10 thrusters. Now, if you have 2 dumbbells, you'll just do 10 thrusters. If you have a single dumbbell, you'll just do 10 thrusters. So you'll do 5 on one side, 5 on the other side. So we're just looking for 10 total count. From there, you're gonna rest. And like I said earlier, I'm hoping that we get kind of an equal work, equal rest ratio or close to that in terms of our work set today. So we're rested for our next movement, which we haven't touched on yet. Minute number 2, we have our dumbbell/kettlebell swing. So we've done many swings in the past. We're pretty proficient swingers, but what we want to think about is just different ways we can hold the dumbbell. So we can hold the dumbbell by the bell itself. We can hold the dumbbell by the handle with 2 hands, or we can do a single swing or single arm swing. So regardless of what style we are going to use, I want you to keep in mind that the hinge pattern and the body mechanics are all the same. So as we do this, I'm going to get my feet into a squat stance. I'm going to pull my hips back into a hinge position, just like if I was going to jump onto a box. So it's just a quick hip hinge and then stand tall. So with speed, it looks like so. Hip, squat, hip and stand, hip and stand. Very subtle hip hinge. And I'm keeping my hands above my knees. Now from there, if I held by the handle, it's the same thing. Hip and up, hip and up, hip and up. Now if I held a single, again, same movement. I'm keeping that quick hip and that good flex position. You'll notice my back position is in that good RDL, good morning, deadlift position. We're maintaining that good hip hinge, maintaining a nice straight spine. Now, something to keep in mind with this work set is very common, especially as we get tired. We want to stay away from this. And you'll notice what I was saying was hip and stand. We stand up nice and tall. We stand open. We don't want to hip and lean. All right? We don't want to push those hips forward and lean back. So we want to make sure that we're only going as high as those legs will allow and our shoulder mobility will allow. So don't worry about trying to pull the dumbbell or kettlebell up. Really focus on the legs doing the work and maintaining a tall stature in body. Okay? For the feet portion of it, we want to make sure our feet stay as flat as they can for as long as they can. I try and keep my feet down the entire time when I'm doing swings, but it's okay if the heels come up a little bit when we're doing our hip and knee extension, but we're not trying to come up onto our toes. Kind of like a push press, when we dip and drive, those heels might come up a bit, but then they go right back down to the floor. Because that foot connection to the ground is our connection to the earth. That's our grounding. That's where we get our power from. So So we want to make sure that we get right back down there if the heels come off. But again, I always try and keep my feet flat and grounded the whole time I do those swings. Now, this work set's going to get kind of gross quick, but like I said, I hope we get a nice opportunity to rest. If you want to use 2 different loads of dumbbells, please do so. A little lighter on the thruster, a little heavier on the swing if you have access to that. If not, rock it, have some fun with some good hearty cardio, and we'll see where it takes us today, all right? So as a quick recap, on the minute for 10 minutes. Minute number 1, 10 thrusters. Minute number 2, 10 kettlebell or dumbbell swings. Repeat 5 times. Get that cardio going, shake that body out a little bit, and enjoy the rest of your day. All right, as always, everyone, work for quality, have tons of fun. We'll see you tomorrow for some more fun programming. Bye, you guys.